All right, welcome. Go over some setup procedures. So the participation list, you'll see the icon over there to the bottom right with a little person on it. Next to that is your chat window button. Just click on that chat bubble, and then you'll see your microphone bottom center. Should be green when you're speaking and red when you're not. Just click on that to alternate. And then the same for the camera, green for when you're going to be on camera and red if you need to turn off for some reason, like if you need to get a drink. And then the bottom far left is your closed caption button if you're having any trouble understanding. So quick thumbs up that you guys heard all that and you can hear me clearly and see me clearly. You can use either your real thumb or the reaction thumb. Um, and then we'll do a quick check to make sure all of your microphones are working as well. Just quickly introduce yourself and go around.
My name is Aaliyah.
Hi, I'm Liz.
Awesome, thank you. And then to cut down on sound, just make sure we're not speaking and you click it back to the red color. All right, so speaking of distractions and disturbances, make sure you shut your door, mute your phone, and just take a deep breath, relax, and get ready to get to work. So my name is Joshua Fleck, and the class today is about lifelong learning in COI. Here's a quick look at our learning objectives if you want to take just a couple moments to review those. All right, so lifelong learning, kind of self-descriptive, but let's take a second and think about settings and places and environments where we learn that are not necessarily a classroom. If you would, and you're in the meeting, go ahead and type your answers into the chat box and submit. Some place where you've learned something or where someone might go to learn that's not a classroom. And then if you're watching the video, go ahead and just take your pen and paper out and write your answer on there. Awesome. Both of you got friends on there. Leah, you also talked about work. Obviously, growing up and throughout life, we can learn a lot from our friends, sometimes good and sometimes bad. So thank you so much for those answers. So there are some structured different descriptions of what those settings look like and how to define them. So formal learning is intentional education by a dedicated institution. So if you're going to school as a youngster or you're going to college or somewhere that is dedicated to training and producing diplomas or certificates, that's a formal learning environment. And informal learning is education kind of as a byproduct. So you're hanging out with your friends and maybe you're riding a bicycle or playing basketball, anything like that, or working with coworkers like you mentioned, Leah. Maybe you're building spreadsheets and through trial and error or through observation and collaboration, you start to learn new skills as a byproduct, but you didn't go there to learn or be educated. That's informal learning. Non-formal learning is intentional education outside of an institution. So you go there to learn, but it's not like a college or a university or high school. This could be like an job orientation, or maybe like a pottery store may offer like a pottery making class or something of that nature. The place isn't built to teach, but you go there to learn. That is non-formal learning. So let's take a moment here. Look at the examples of places where you might learn on the left. And if you're in the meeting, you're going to use the annotation tool, which is that button up to the top, just to the right of the presentation screen. You click on annotate and you can use the pen and just draw a line. And again, if you're not in the meeting, you're watching the video, you can write your answer on your notebook and pen. All right, see all the lines? Go ahead and move to the next slide. So this is the correct answer, and it's very kind of confusing, challenging the different verbiage between non-formal and informal. But non-formal again is where you go to learn, but it's not in a formal institution. And informal is when it's relaxed, you're just learning naturally. So if you kind of think of it as this informal experience, or it's a formal education in a non-formal institution, that's kind of a way to help you remember. All right. So lifelong learning is something humanity's experienced as long as humanity has existed, but the concept was originally identified and kind of practiced by the philosopher Plato. And it's been developed, and different things have been added to the concept over the years, and it is still a field of study to this day. Just how people can improve themselves as an individual and how they can learn and grow throughout their life. So one area of application of lifelong learning is training to do a certain task or job or working. And this is kind of a focus point of a lot of the study and concept of lifelong learning because it increases that economic human capital. So how can we make more money through education? So this is one field of that where it's teaching people to improve their performance. But it goes beyond just money. We can improve society as we improve ourselves as individuals because we gain more perspective. So we become more aware of humanity's challenges. We become more aware of societal things that need to be corrected or how to face them, which way you want to vote, and how you can make a difference in society as a whole is improved as you learn and grow throughout your life. So we'll do a quick Slido poll here. And if you're watching this video, go ahead again and just pause the video and you can write down your answers. But what we're going to look at is who is credited with the first application or concept of lifelong learning. Options are Plato, Charles Darwin, Bill Gates, or Socrates. I'll give everyone a minute to vote. If you're watching again, please pause and write your answer down on your notebook. Waiting on one more vote. Give you another moment to consider. Maybe you're having issues. Please do raise your hand if you ever have an issue using one of the features, and we'll make sure we get you squared away. All right, 2 votes in for Plato. That's correct. Some interesting characters in that group who've contributed to society in different ways, but Plato's the one credited with lifelong learning. Good work, everybody. All right, so how does lifelong education benefit that economic human capital? If you're watching the video, go ahead and pause it and write your answer down on a separate piece of paper. For those of you in the meeting, go ahead and use that annotation tool, and you can either underline or circle what you'd believe to be the correct answer. All right, we will move on. I see 2 circles there. So that's correct. You both were correct. It is training workers. So as we teach workers, we will improve their performance, which will result in an improved economic situation for that organization or company. Okay, so how does lifelong education benefit society? Again, if you're watching, pause the video, write your answer down, and if you're in the meeting, let's use that annotation tool once again. All right, beautiful circles and correct answers all around. Good work. So, as we improve individuals' perspectives and teach them more about society and the world around them, they can have more of an engaged and active presence in society. Good work. So, how do we apply COI to lifelong learning? So we talked about presences and we'll dig into that, but lifelong learning, like we've discussed in some settings might happen naturally, But as instructional designers, as mentors and leaders, we can apply the community of inquiry framework to actually improve the success of lifelong learning and through the development of courses. So we'll talk about teaching presence first. So teaching presence is where we intentionally design and organize the structure of that course and that lifelong learning experience and facilitate open communications and get people engaged to where they are intentionally learning. In the social aspect, through that group participation you guys mentioned earlier, we learn from our friends and coworkers. So as we get engaged in group participation, people are invested, they're learning from one another, they're building cohesion, and you're fostering this culture and environment of collaboration. And then cognitive presence. So we talked in previous lessons about the categories of cognitive presence. So as we trigger critical thinking and we explore the content material and we integrate it into real life and we walk away in the resolution phase with real solutions that people can take from the training and apply to real life problems. All right, so what category of learning do the following below examples fall under? So again, you got the presences on the right, and then components of that and ways that those presences in CY contribute to lifelong learning. If you're watching the video, please pause it and write down your answers. And you guys have got it down. Go ahead and annotate your answers with the annotation tool when you're ready. Wonderful. Let's see 2 lines from each question or example. Let's see what the slide says. Looks like you all did great work. So again, that social presence fosters that group cohesion. That exploration category and stage of COI helps to get the cognitive wheels rolling. And then as teachers and instructors, you're designing and organizing that course or that learning experience to be the most beneficial. So now we're going to do a breakout study. So I will send you guys here shortly to breakout rooms. If you're watching the video, you'll just need to pause it. I will have the link available for you to comment, but I'm going to have those here breakout in groups and work on the slide together. Put the link in chat. So imagine you're a part of a consultation team and you're going to present an argument to an organization about the benefits of lifelong learning and how COI framework comes into play in developing a legitimate lifelong learning experience within that organization. So on the left side, you're going to see some benefits. Hopefully you recall some we've discussed today. And then on the right side, applications. So how do those 3 different presences apply to that lifelong learning development? So I will go ahead and break you guys out and take a moment to fill that slide out. When we come back, we'll look at it together. And then just each of you nominate one person from your breakout session. And when we come back, they'll take a moment to speak to the slide and what the results of your case study are. Okay. Go ahead and select to join your breakout session. We'll see you shortly. All right, welcome back.
All right, so I think I'm going to be the one presenting for our little group today.
Wonderful. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, you caught me right. It ended right when I was in the middle of typing a word, so I had to fix that really quick. Um, so some of the benefits that we talked about for lifelong learning are collaboration, learning new skills, and increased communication by, working with all these other people, learning new skills, that kind of thing. And so some of the applications we were thinking of all kind of relate back to like critical thinking. So that's what we feel like a lot of the benefits are, is it increases your critical thinking skills. Um, so some of the applications we were looking at are things like study groups or like breakout sessions, um, just things that are really getting people interacting with each other to help with that social presence and to help learn from each other while also engaging in that formalized learning.
Wonderful. All right. Give me a moment. We'll get back to where we were. Had some technical issues with WebEx. Should not be any surprise to anybody in this group. All right. Wonderful. So again, lifelong learning, when supported by the COI framework, benefits the organization. You guys point out some great benefits and how the COI framework supports that. And it's really interesting. A lot of corporations are really starting to take notice to that employee development, leader development. And so as instructional designers and trainers, for us to be able to articulate how that's so beneficial through improving communication, job performance, and how the COI framework supports that is critical. So good work on describing that. All right, so again, learning is a lifelong process experienced in various ways and in various settings. It benefits the individual who's learning, and it benefits the organizations that are part of and society as a whole. And if we take an intentional focus and we apply the CI framework, we can actually make lifelong learning an intentional process that is more successful and beneficial. All right, retrieval question. You guys are sharp with the annotation tool. Bust that out a couple more times. And if you're watching again, just be prepared to pause the video at each of these and write your answers before moving on. So, when does learning and education end? Is it after high school, after college? When do you stop learning? Awesome. So, I think we can all agree that it continues throughout your lifetime. Whether it's intentional or not, we will always continue learning throughout our entire lives. Okay, so who benefits from lifelong learning? Take a moment, mark your answers down. All right, we'll move on. Absolutely correct. Again, the focus and value of lifelong learning should not be overlooked because it benefits everyone. All right, so which presence of the community of inquiry framework is important to be successful in lifelong learning? Which one do you think it is? Or which of the three? Please again annotate, or if you're at home watching the video, just take a moment to write your answers. All right. Again, they're all important. Understanding that the intentional focus of developing and designing and organizing the coursework, getting everybody involved in a social capacity, and making everyone think, all of those are important to be successful in lifelong learning. Well, thank you guys so much for your time this afternoon. I hope everyone learned something and seen a different perspective. And I hope you leave this class with a unique perspective on lifelong learning and maybe rededicate yourself to doing so intentionally. If you have any questions, please email me. If you need reference to any of these slides or resources, please reach out to me as well and I'll get them to you. Thank you all so much for your time. And until next time, take care.